Internet, it's us. So we did Saw 3D, or Saw 7. Right off the bat, I have to say, I loved what they did with the 3D. They used it exactly one time, and it was literally for a Saw.
3 times.
Yeah, but those other ones were, like, off-center. They didn't come right at the camera. The only one that really, like, obnoxious at the camera was the Saw at the very end. Compared to, like, Final Destination 4, where every single scene had something flying at the camera, this was super reserved. So I appreciated that. Also, the cop in here, who is the new Jigsaw, why is he as smart as John was? Like, John was an engineer. And so, like, he was smart and he was able to create elaborate traps and we're pretending he can read people and tell what they were going to do.
He's not as smart.
But this cop is just a random cop. So why is he able to build these elaborate traps?
He hasn't.
But, like, even the elaborate room house thing, where, like, you know, he planned out a route through this house and all this stuff, like...
Nope, John still did all that. Remember, John went to the Survivor book signing and said, your comeuppance is going to be comeuppance. So he was still around planning all this somehow. And in the last movie, remember, Detective What's-His-Name was messing with the gear, and John said, oh, if you're going to mess with that gear, you have to torque the gear ratio and all this stuff. Next time you should ask me. So he's not responsible for any of this. John is still doing all this. He's just carrying out John's plans. And trying to cover his ass.
I have to say, too, I don't like that they keep adding new, old victims. Like, well, first of all, those two with the saw thing at the beginning with the girl, who did that? Because John's dead, and the cop's busy trying to clear his name. So who the hell did that? But that aside, like, when they went to the survivors meeting, the only people you recognize were Carrie Elwes and the old lady from the last one, whose son was not with her for some reason, even though he...
And the arm lady who cut off her arm in the last movie.
And her. But, like, who the hell were all those other people?
No idea.
Like, there's a bunch of people that they're just like, oh, I was in his trap, I'm a survivor. But, no, you weren't. Who are you? We've never seen you. I don't... Like, every time they build these connections, so you know, like, all the people he's trapping have some vague connection. You know, it was someone that screwed him over. It was the health insurance person. It was the doctor. It was these cops that were looking for him. It was a business partner. It was whatever. Like, there's always some vague connection. So then if you just throw all these random people in there like that, it doesn't work anymore. It's stupid. So I feel like they're taking away from the story by adding all this extra crap to it.
They sure are.
And then even, I like that Carrie Elwes was back, because I love him. He's great. But I don't like that he's now another assistant for John. And so is his wife. Like, they've shown like 6 or 7 people now that were pretty easily swayed into, hey, help me murder everyone in this city. Like, that's not... I feel like it wouldn't work that way. Like, if you decided you were a serial killer one day, I probably wouldn't help you. And I don't think you could find 5 or 6 more people that would, even if I did.
Right.
Like, that's not how that works. You can't just recruit a half-dozen folks and be like, hey, I'm going to murder a whole bunch of people, and it's going to be public and on the news, and we're going to be infamous for it. So, you want to get tied up in that? Like, that's not going to work. So I don't know. The story's falling apart. I don't like it. Like, the kills are fun still, and it's interesting watching people try to survive, but the story overall, I feel like, is definitely suffering. Like, it's been dragged out too far, and they're doing too much, and it's just not working.
They have to follow a formula because it's been working. They got to do the setups and the twists and the reveals, and it's just getting lackluster and getting to be too much, and I don't care anymore, and there's too many of them. Maybe if I'd seen all of them as they came out 1 year apart, I would have cared a little bit more. But the fact that we're watching them one after another, after another, night after night, is just like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's part of it, but I don't know. I feel like even if they were spaced out, I still, after a while, been like, I already saw this movie 6 more times. Like,
I mean, that's true. I mean, it's the way it was with the Marvel movies for me, in a way, you know.
Yeah.
Too much superhero movies, superhero fatigue.
And I'd say this is exactly the same as superhero fatigue in that I'm not sick of superhero movies. I'm sick of bad formulaic superhero movies.
Right.
Like, if they did something unique and different, if they were, like, outside of the box and were inventive, I'm fine. I'm down.
Like they did with Ant-Man Quantumania, even though no one liked that except for us.
Yeah, seriously. We were the only two people that enjoyed that. Werewolf by Night, I know you still haven't seen yet, but I really enjoyed that. It went for something completely different. It was very different from all the other stuff. I thought it was great. Like, I'm okay if they do these things and still make superhero movies. The problem is they're not doing those things often. They're making the same superhero movies with the same Marvel sarcasm, and, you know, villain and hero are the same powers but opposite. Like, it's not fun. And Saw's the same thing. It's the same formula, the same twists. Oh, here's another helper that we've retconned in that's vaguely aware of something. And I don't know. It's just, I'm getting over it more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said before, I know the next two were not a year apart. They were further out. So I'm hoping with that extra time, they were able to write a better story and make something that makes sense instead of saying, hey, we have a 4-chapter book, let's add 9 more chapters in between 3 and 4. Like, I'm hoping they just moved on to the next story by now. So we'll see. Because otherwise, yeah, this is getting very...
It'll start where the last
repetitious.
movie left off, with the detective in the Saw first movie room, and...
Well, he's dead now.
He's not dead. They didn't show him die. They just showed him trapped.
Yeah, but he's going to die. Because he has no Saw, he can't get out. I really hope they don't let him keep going. Just kill him and be done.
I don't know.
Just reset. Just start over. Get rid of him.
I don't know. Is there any loose ends? Like, I remember...
And don't bring Carrie Elwes back.
I remember John's wife putting the envelope in Dr. Gordon's door,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just kind of forget about it. Like, oh, all of a sudden here it is in this new movie.
Yeah.
Like they did the box in the 2 movies ago, and then they revealed the box last movie. Was there anything like that in this movie that they didn't reveal that I can't remember? It was like a throwaway something.
I don't think we'd even remember until they showed it.
Right.
But, I don't know. I hope it goes in a new direction, because...
I just want answers of that very first scene in the middle of the city. How did those people get there?
Yeah, how'd they set that up in the middle of the city without anyone stopping them? And who the hell did that?
Right.
Like, that's not... It wasn't John, obviously. He's dead. And it wasn't the cop, because he's on the run.
Was it Carrie Elwes and his people?
Yeah, but why would he have? Because they're not connected, and that's not...
That's what we're going to find out in this movie?
I hope not. I hope they get rid of that, and just leave that alone,
All
and
the
just
blood
do something new.
And because we were saying, because the blood looked so fake in that we were thinking, oh, that's a fake art scene that they were doing.
Yeah.
But the blood looked fake the whole movie. Like,
It did.
It looked
It was pink.
pinker, yeah.
And I'm now very familiar with fake blood. I spent last weekend covered in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't look pink. And it's not so runny. Like, real fake blood is very sticky, very viscous, and a very bright, shiny red. And that was just pink and pathetic. It didn't look right.
It was Gatorade.
Yeah, the effects were not as good there. Like the prosthetics with the guy at the end where he had to, hang on the hooks.
Clearly, you said,
That
it was just going through fake nipples.
Yeah, it was. It was a very fake-looking, obvious chest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're running out of ideas, running out of steam, and they definitely need to step it up for the next 2, or 3, I guess, with the one that's in theaters now. But yeah,
I'm rating this one a 4.
I'm right there with you. It just really, like you said, maybe if they were further apart, maybe I'd give it a 5. But I don't know. I'm kind of feeling burned out on it. They're just doing the same thing over and over, and it's not doing it anymore. So yeah, this one gets a 4. And we'll see where the next 2 goes.
Yep.